All right, we're going to take a quick break from some of the stuff that we were talking about at the whiteboard session the past couple weeks because I had a really interesting conversation with one of the coaches that I just started working with here at Unrivaled Strength. They're a power lifter, and I am determined to do this in one take. So if I start going off on tangents, I apologize, but we're going to make this happen. So the conversation started off with, hey, what can I get worked on this particular day so that it doesn't interrupt my programming and my training? I had to get some information from them as far as what phase they were in, what were they doing for their training, how heavy they were going, the volume, etc. But it comes down to the heart of what makes sports massage. It's not just understanding how the athlete moves and the different stresses that are placed on their body, but it's also important to understand the timing aspect on what you can do and when, how long, what techniques and implements you do have an effect on the body. So, here's what I did. I wrote up the schedule for the 3 main lifts. I looked at the days that he was doing those. And then I told him that a majority of the time, if you work out for long enough, whether it's athletics or not, we get caught in this idea that how we feel is normal, because we feel it for such a long time that aches and pains and tightness and soreness just become standard. But it's not standard. And when you get a massage, usually for the first 1 to 2 days afterwards, you're going to feel off, depending on what type you get. And then you get back to feeling normal. And then if you wait like another day, you have this period where you feel fantastic. Now everybody's different on how that timeline flows. And everyone's different on how it flows in relation to the training they're doing. So what I told him was, I want you to pay attention to how you feel after the massage in relation to your 3 big lifts. So if we've been working on Fridays. And I said, when you got done, the first time he came in to get worked done in preparation for bench. Because he was feeling a lot of tension and soreness and irritation through the pecs, the front delts, the biceps. I said, when you got worked on, did you feel off? Yeah. How, and when I say off, I'm talking about feeling tired, which is like overly fatigued, a little out of it. So how long do you feel like that? It's like for about a day. It's like, okay, so we got that recovery period after the massage for the bench for about a day. How long do you feel good? It's like, for a day or two, I felt fantastic. I came in Monday, I felt really good. Awesome. Now there's this blue zone right over here that a lot of people don't have an opportunity to get into because with most programming, you've moved on to do your next lift or your next workout, and you don't get an idea of how much better you might feel because you don't have the opportunity or the luxury to take extra time before you go to your next bench session. Like it's always Monday. Okay. We did the same thing for squat. He told me, well, I felt off for like a day or two. Then I felt really good for a day. And we never got into the blue zone. Once again, the training demanded to get back to lifting without having the opportunity to take more time before. We did the same thing for deads. Feel off for a day or two, feel really good for 24 hours, we never get to the blue. And what I then did is I took that information, I put it over an overall timeline. And you can see these areas where the amount of time that he feels good, 1 to 2 days for benching, the 1 day for deads, the 1 day for squatting. And it's not that he only feels good for only 1 day. It's not that. It's that he noticed that it lasts for an entire day prior to going into bench or going into squat or going into deads. And then if we look at the period of time that he's in a recovery phase from a massage prior to one of the lifts, you start to see that there's a little bit of overlap. There's a period where he would normally be feeling really good from the massage that he got the week before on Friday. But if we did another massage, say on Monday, in preparation for deadlift, and we did it with the 1 to 2 day buffer for the recovery so that he had that 24-hour period of feeling really good on Wednesday, there's a period in there where it overlaps, where I'm going to be inhibiting his ability, if I do it incorrectly, to bench on Monday. So you've got to take that into account. Now you can do that. It just becomes a conversation of how high of a priority is your bench that day. Are you going to do the massage after doing benching? Are you going to change what kind of massage you're doing so that it doesn't have that effect? There's a multitude of factors that you want to take into account, but the important thing is that you can take them into account because you now have that information on the timeline. You come over here and you see that, well, okay, if I do a massage in preparation to get him to feel good for the bench, and I do that on, say, Friday or Saturday, there's a good possibility that I'm going to be messing up how he feels from a local inflammatory response, but also systemic fatigue response when it comes to squats on Sunday. So I've got to take that into account because I can see that there's a little bit of overlap with that recovery period here going into squats. And I've got this spot right here, which works out really conveniently. If I want him to feel good on Sunday for squats, and I've got a specific routine from a soft tissue standpoint that I'm going to take him through, and I do that on, say, Thursday, well then I've got this 24-hour buffer where he's not doing anything because Thursday's an off day. He's going to feel off for a day or two with that, but he's going into a second squat, second bench. Those aren't his highest priority. And by the time he gets through that, Sunday squats feel really good. Plus he has Saturday as an off day. That schedule right there, and yeah, I mean, it's rudimentary, it's rough. But my point is that taking that kind of concept into account, overlaying all them together, you can start to see that there are going to be certain days that work best in preparation for the lifts that you have coming up, depending on how crucial those lifts are and how much you want to prioritize them. So one of the first things I always ask when I talk to lifters here, it's not just the power lifters, means all the lifters that are training in general, is, hey, what do you have coming up next week? What do you have coming up even this week? Depending on what day it is. What's your percentage? What's your intensity? Where are you in the phase? Because if they tell me, hey, I have a really, really heavy deadlift coming up next Wednesday, and they're coming to me to get them worked on, say, Thursday, Friday, I say, all right, well, what do you have, say, Sunday, Monday? Well, I've got a light squat and like a medium bench. And don't judge me on whether or not that seems accurate from a program standpoint, but my point is, I need to make sure that even if it's a light squat, I'm doing something that doesn't inhibit that, if that's a priority. I need to do something that allows for the timeline because they have a medium intensity bench on Monday. And if they tell me, I've got squat and bench, but those aren't really that big of a concern, I need to hit this deadlift. All right, and that means I've got a big window of time that I can work with. And I just plot it all out just like this. And I say, here's what I can do, here's what you're going to feel like, here's what I need you to do in the days in between so that by Wednesday, leading up to it, yeah, you're going to feel rough. But by the time you get to Wednesday, you're going to feel really good. And this, from a visual and an explanatory standpoint, helps the athlete so much to understand why for a day or two, or sometimes even 3 days, they're going to feel off because they're supposed to. And this isn't just for soft tissue. This carries over to other practices from the practitioners that I've talked to. And I'm not going to speak for them because that's not appropriate within my scope. But this isn't specific just to soft tissue work. It's just that it works really well from a massage standpoint, and it's not something that I see being done very often, and it is very helpful, very applicable, and seemingly in this case, unique. So I thought that it would be a fun conversation to have, considering that it's something that happened recently. It is related to a lot of the recovery programming, although not directly the same. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that you're able to use it, and hope you enjoyed it.